You're watching Eagle Community Television. I'm Mike Kerner, and today we're at High Plains Mental Health. It's our High Plains Mental Health Moment, and again, Ken Lose is with us today. And Ken, we want to talk about, I guess, Mental Health Month is coming, isn't it?
Mental Health Awareness Month, yeah, it's a yearly thing, and nationally they pick a theme every year. Bottom line being to kind of focus on mental health issues. This year in particular, kind of combining physical health and mental health and talking about ways to be well.
I know that there's a lot of ways to become well. You can, like you said, physically, mentally. There was a study that you were talking about, and we're going to kind of refer to that a little bit. It had come out from Mental Health America, and it's pretty reputable, I guess, firm, isn't it?
It's a great website. It used to be known as the National Mental Health Association. I guess they think the name Mental Health America is a little more catchy. Bottom line is that every year they come out with the theme for Mental Health Awareness Month. They came up with kind of 10 steps to be aware of, 10 steps to try to maybe increase what we're doing, and we'll talk a little bit more about that.
All right, let's go through the 10 steps, and then we might expand a little bit as we're kind of going through them. Do you want to do like a top 10 list, work our way from 10 to 1, or you just want to start at 1?
Oh, we should start at 1, I think. We don't want to challenge Mental Health America. They sound bigger than us, Mike. We don't want to get in trouble here.
Okay, let's go with number 1 then here on the list, okay?
There we go. You know, a lot of these things are good commonsensical items, but it's one of those things to maybe reach out and try to do a little bit more consistently. So number 1 is connecting with others. Bottom line, a lot of studies say that people are happier, they're healthier, and some even suggest maybe we live longer if we connect with other people. It doesn't matter, you know, how many friends we have, but the bottom line is that we should have some folks in our social support system, people we care about us, and so on.
You know, I'm thinking about this, as you mentioned here, number 1, connect with others. This could be a two-way street here. And the reason why I say that is because maybe you know somebody out there and they're spiraling out of control, or not really out of control, but they could spiral out of control. They're at home a lot. They maybe lost a spouse or lost some family members. Maybe you could go visit them and help them so they can stay away from that occurring, you know, that spiral.
That's absolutely right. In fact, I think you've jumped ahead a little bit.
Oh, I didn't even mean to.
That's all right. This is live TV. You know, the other aspect that we're looking at is to help others, which they have as number 4 on the list, because you're absolutely right. For some individuals, whether it's depression or anxiety, they can start to isolate. They can start to feel like, you know, I don't want to ruin other people's days, mine's bad enough, that kind of thing. I don't want to bother people, don't want to be a burden. And so they isolate. And the good news here is with something like Mental Health Awareness Month is that when we reach out, we're not only helping them potentially by saying, hey, come back and join the fold, but we're also helping ourselves by helping other people, by going into something bigger than just ourselves. And that's a key point for mental wellness.
I guess, you know, connecting could be a lot of things. You could go over, maybe watch TV with them. You could talk to them a little bit, maybe listen to some stories, tell them some stories. Maybe something simple as helping them get some groceries or just anything like that, or maybe get them out and take them for a little walk or something around the block.
You know, you bring up an excellent point, Mike. One of the most common questions we have is, I know someone who's hurting or I know someone who's struggling. How do I help them? And the more specific our offer, the better. You know, I think particularly those of us in Northwest Kansas, we have big hearts, we want to help others. So we tend to leave these kind of wide open things like, oh, if you need anything, give me a call. You know, don't hesitate to call day or night. The problem is that people do have pride. People don't want to be a burden. So actually, the more specific you can be, hey, I'm going to be going to Dillon's later today. Can I pick you up something? You know, I'm already going there. The idea then is it's not an inconvenience. You're more likely to maybe get a response. Or someone who's maybe not been going to church for a while, they feel sad, lonely, they're isolating. I'm going to be on my way to church at such and such a time on Sunday. How about I come and pick you up? That way we still give them the control of whether or not to accept it, but it's more specific. It makes it maybe a little bit harder to turn down, makes it also feel like it's not as big of an inconvenience for us.
Well, that's. I guess we could talk on that topic for a long time, but we only have so much time. We're going to move on to number 2 here real quick. Tell us that.
Number 2 is to stay positive. Now, this is not the pop psychology of everything that happens, we allow it to happen, or we always have to be positive. That's not the issue. But the bottom line is to know that in life you will face stress, You will face difficult times, you will face challenges, and if you know you can bounce back from that, if you know there's an endpoint to it, if you can kind of look at the idea with every dark cloud there's a silver lining, those kinds of things can really help us get through difficult times. So that's just kind of a general way of thumb. Again, we have to be careful not to take that too far. People who suffer from depression and other mental health issues, it's not just within their control. And sometimes I think when we say, oh, stay positive, it almost comes across as blaming the victim. Not what we're talking about here. Here it's really looking for that bright side, that silver lining to some challenges.
Yeah, I think to an extent it could probably backfire on you too.
It could very much backfire, absolutely, yes. So, again, these are just ideas, things to kind of be aware of.
All right. Okay, go. Yeah, are you going to say something more?
No, I was going to go to number 3.
Okay, we're going to number 3 now, okay.
Number 3, we've got get physically active. Most of us know, and most of us as Americans, we're not as physically active as we should be. Bottom line is that being physically active is not just good for us physically, but mentally as well. Studies show us that with depression, anxiety, other challenges, that being physically active, engaging in some exercise is beneficial.
And exercise can be just very simple things. It can be just a little quick walk around the house. It could be some walking around in the backyard, walking around the block. It doesn't have to be, a 5K or anything like that.
No, in fact, if it's a 5K, then I think most of us are in pretty bad shape on something like that. But the bottom line you bring up, Mike, which is a good point, we're not just talking about things like you have to have 20 minutes or 30 minutes of activity. 10 minutes of activity has been found to be beneficial for mental health. And so we're back to those little steps of parking the car farther away from our office, farther away from the front entrance of a store, so that we can get additional exercise. Start slowly, move to build up on it, but know that it's not just good physically, but also mentally as well.
Yeah, I know that it's all kind of connected, and I guess you could talk to your family physicians about that, and they could probably help you out with that. Number 4 on the list is?
We did mention this one already with helping others.
Sounds familiar.
Sounds familiar. And just good common sense. We'll head on to a couple others here. Number 5 is get enough sleep. Again, as Americans, I think this is an area we can all get better at. We're very busy. We're very active. We push ourselves sometimes too far, but sleep is really an issue. A lot of people can look like they're suffering from depression or anxiety or other mental health challenges if they're just chronically not getting enough sleep. So be aware of that.
Now, sometimes if they're depressed, they might get too much sleep, right?
That is absolutely correct. That's one of the cardinal signs for some individuals. The key being, though, if you're depressed and you're getting too much sleep, it's not good quality restive sleep. There are individuals that will get up the next morning, they'll feel just as exhausted, just as tired as when they went to bed. So, there can be that balance of too much is not helpful. If it's from depression and a symptom, that's certainly not what we're talking about here. Here we're talking about the usual 7 to 8 hours of good, restful sleep, as good as we can make it.
All right, we're moving on to another one here. We've got 10 steps to go through here today.
You bet. Create joy and satisfaction. Again, that kind of goes with staying positive. That in life, even if they're little victories, even if they're little things, we tend to focus only on the disappointment and on the negative. And so we really want to be able to focus on some good things that are going on as well. Eating well, eating habits in general, taking care of your spirit, people who are spiritually doing well, people who have an active faith community, an active church community, tend to do better in the long run, and so that's something to be aware of as well. Dealing better with hard times. Again, one of those things that when you're struggling, know that we learn sometimes the most about ourselves when we go through tough times. And so if you can kind of look at it as what is the silver lining, or what am I learning about myself in a positive way, that's very beneficial. And finally, number 10, and certainly High Plains Mental Health Center is part of this, get professional help if you feel like what you're trying is not working, if you've been struggling for a long time, if you feel like whatever your challenges are getting worse. Don't hesitate to get information on professional help.
And I know that you've got a lot of different locations all throughout western Kansas, and you can help people out. Give us your locations real quick, the hours, and how they can get a hold of you.
You bet. Our main location is here in Hayes. Our phone number, 1-800-432-0333. We also have 5 branch offices throughout the 20 counties of northwest Kansas and 6 additional treatment sites. That first phone call, there's no obligation to call us. When we are closed, that phone call is also our 24-hour emergency line. And so people who sometimes do suffer from mental health emergencies at 3 in the morning, on holidays, on weekends, you're able to get the help you need by calling that number.
So you're just here to help, and if people need some advice, just give you a call, and you can help them out with that. And again, remember, don't worry about it financially. You've got the sliding scale, which always helps, and you can really help people out.
You know, that's our goal here at High Plains Mental Health Center. If you do live or work in the 20 counties of northwest Kansas, you may qualify for that sliding fee scale. We accept most major insurances, Medicare, Medicaid. You know, to call us if you have questions about that. If you're underinsured or have no insurance whatsoever, don't allow just the fear of a large bill to keep you from seeking out services. Because as your community mental health center, our goal is to work with you. And it is our state statute to work with people to the best of our abilities.
It's also very confidential, so don't you worry about that at all either. I want to thank you today for being with us. Ken Lose, and again, I'm Mike Kerner at High Plains Mental Health here on Eagle Community Television.